Good afternoon, happy crafters. How are you all? Thank you all for joining me live in my studio here in Wakefield. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Toni and I love to play with stamps, dies and especially ink. I'm a guest presenter over on Create and Craft and I just love to play. And I'm hoping this studio inspires any of you guys at home to maybe try some of the techniques or maybe just get some of your stash out at home and generally have a play. Just enjoy. So if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe button, and if you are watching over on Facebook, don't forget to drop a comment. This will put you in with a chance to win one of our studio makes. So in today's live studio, I wanted to let you know about a couple of things. We have some of our fabulous stamps back in stock, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for those stamps, so I'm just going to run you through the ones that are back in stock, and I am going to be using some of them in today's studio. I'm also going to be using some of our earlier products, so probably a lot of you will already have the products that I'm going to use today. If you haven't, you can go over to our website, pop FBL into the search engine, and it will bring up all the products that have been used over the course of the last few videos. If you have enjoyed today's video, I encourage you to go back and look at all the other videos. We've got a great bank of videos now that show you basic card making right up to advanced watercolouring. So get a cup of tea, sit back and just have a great time. So I'm just going to show you some of the lovely stamps that are back in stock first, and then I'm going to show you some of the samples that I've managed to find for them. So these are my stamps, and just grab a piece of white cardstock so I can show you. So first of all, we have got this amazing one. I don't know if this shows on here. It's not showing very well, is it? Let's just take it off here. I'm not going to take it off. But this one creates a beautiful like arty finish, and I'm just going to run through a couple of the samples. Now I have got a handful of samples, so this stamps out like this one, and Heather's made this one. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's huge as well, so it's quite a big stamp. So it's an open poppy. Poppies are pink, blue, yeah, well they're any colour you like, so you don't be governed by how we do them. You do them whatever colour you like. So that's just one of the lovely samples for that one. So this one is back in stock, and we are taking these back to TV, so I'm sure people are going to love them. So I'll just set this one aside. She says, forever organised. So the next one is this beautiful buds one. These are mine, unfortunately. They're very messy, but you get a beautiful stamp there that says, let's have a look. There is no key to happiness, just follow your heart. And this is a lovely sample for that one. So you can see there, stamped out, just with a bit of distress on the edge and matted onto some glitter card. How lovely that is. Very simplistic card, but really effective is that one. So that's that one. The second one is the daffodil, and this has got a really large, two large heads on there, and again some lovely sentiments in there. I couldn't find a sample for this one, unfortunately. However, there are plenty of samples over on the gallery, so if you've watched our videos, the tab along next to the video tab is our gallery tab, and that's where all our samples are. We're also on Pinterest as well. So that one. We have this one, which is one of my favourites to date, and this is the one that I'm going to use on set today. So you can see there you've got like the creeping daisies on there, and you get two beautiful sentiments in there. Just see if we've got a sample for that one. So this is a very simplistic sample there with a little bit of a drop shadow, so you can see. I didn't show you this one either. This one was the large one with the open poppies. That's a different one. So this is the one which I'm talking about, and this is what, thanks for all you do, I really appreciate it. This is just a very simplistic card, but you can make it as extravagant or as classic looking as you like. So just set this aside. We also have This one, this is our bestseller. So to someone who is always giving, always caring, always loved, this was a request by the lovely Brenda, and we popped it in the stamp set and people have absolutely loved it. What I did with this one though is I created it in such a way, in arch, so it sat within the flowers there, the buttercups, and then on the bottom there you've got Cheer Up Buttercup. So that one's amazing. I'll see if we've got a sample for that one. We might have, we may not have, not with me, no. So that's an amazing one as well. And then last but not least, we have this one, which I'm not sure you'll be able to see on there. Oh, it just looks like a mess on there, doesn't it? It just looks like a hot mess. Let's just swap it out, take that off. Pop the acetate sheet on here for you so you can see there. This is a beautiful creeper and it's got a lovely arch on it, so it creeps around your card, and that's got some amazing sentiments in there as well. And just a few samples of that one. So I've just got some inky background and just stamped on with the big sentiment. Another one with a little blue wash behind on there. I have some torn paper pieces within, so stenciled and torn down the centre there. We also have back in stock our foliage as well. And I have some samples for this one. I forgot to pick up the stamp clearly. So basically you get your solid element of the foliage and the outline, so you can create beautiful looking cards like this one here. It is upside down, so there you can see some nice colours on the background there, nice background wash. And the same one here, so stamped in the solid part here, coloured in all different colours, a little bit of sparkle around there with the pens, and then just generally inked on this one with the solid one. So you can just see, just stamped with some colour on the stamp and stamped direct onto the card. So lots of new stuff back in stock. I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently for these. So they are available over on our Facebook page. But again, if you don't have the stamps, try and have a look through what maybe you already have in your stash, because I'm sure you might have an alternative should you want to try maybe the technique that we're going to do. So let's just set everything aside. So we're going to do two cards at the same time. So first of all, I'm going to do a technique on some watercolour card, and then I'm going to do it on some craft. So I'm just going to grab a sticky ink pad for this technique and anti-static bag, some white embossing powder, and for the colour inside of it I'm going to be using our Colour Essence watercolour pad. So I'll just set one aside, we'll do one at a time. So let's go for the watercolour card first. So for this one I am going to use the daisy I was talking about. So let's go back and find it. You just know the one that you need is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place the stamp in the centre of this. Now this is watercolour card, so you do get you can do these techniques on normal cardstock. You don't have to go out and buy the expensive stuff, but you do see a difference. If you put them against each other you would see a difference, but if you didn't you probably would be happy with the result on card. And I do encourage you to try things on card. It's inexpensive and the looks you can get are still quite good. So I've got this one here. I'm just going to leave this as a like a piece of art. I'm not going to put a sentiment on here. So I'm just going to use my Eureka. And because I'm doing some heat embossing, I am going to use the anti-static bag. So I'm just going to cover the whole of this piece of watercolour card with the anti-static bag. Now this stops any moisture on the card, on my fingers. It keeps your artwork nice and crisp and clean. So let's get this stamped out. So sticky ink pad. And for this one I am using the Versamark. So you can get this over on Create and Craft's website. You might already have it. So lots of light taps all over the stamp. Let's stamp it out. As you can see, this stamp is well loved. And I can see it's stamped okay. You can just see it there, but I am going to do it one more time just to be absolutely certain I've got a good coverage on there. I'm just going to grab a card blank to catch the embossing powder. So just sprinkle the white on there, make sure it's covered. You'll end up with a beautiful image covered in white. So I'm just going to set that aside. I'm not going to heat set it as of yet because I want to do 2 cards at the same time. So I like to batch stamp when I'm going to do 1, I'm going to do 2 or 3. So I've got a piece of craft card this time, so you'll be able to see the difference. And we're going to use one of the different stamps this time. So I'm just going to take this off here, set it aside, and on this one I'm going to use the beautiful Buttercup. Beautiful for sympathy cards, this one. So I'm just going to have it creeping up the left hand side here. And again, same idea. I'm just going to use the anti-static bag. Make sure it's nicely covered on there so I get a lovely finish. Sticky ink pad. Give it a good push down. You'll probably be able to see this one on the craft better. There we go, look. But because I have the facility to do it twice, I always do it twice, just in case I've missed one little area. Just grab my white embossing powder again. Let's see how you get a lovely crisp. That is not embossing powder, that's a little mark in the card. But you can see how beautiful and crisp it is when you use those anti-static bags. So if you haven't got one, I encourage you to get one. It will be part of the stash that you will use predominantly all the time. So I'll just set these things aside. And we'll get our heat tool. So when you do your heat embossing, always get your gun good and hot, and it prevents, well, it doesn't prevent, it stops most of the cockle in your card. And when I say cockle, I mean the wave. So I'm just going to get it hot, 30 seconds off page, I would say. Get it hot. And when I'm absolutely happy it's hot, I will heat set it. And it should sort of disappear because it's going to be white then. So as soon as the powder changes colour, it's done. Don't overbake it. They have like a lovely crisp image. So let's set this aside. So I have my mount board here. So I'm just going to create a bit of an aperture on here. So let's do one at a time so you can see what I'm trying to achieve. Right. So I have some low tack tape here and I'm just popping it on my clothing just to get rid of some of the tack on there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a window around this image. Now this is going to be a little bit different to what we've done before. Let's just make sure it's straight. So I'm going to take these down, but I'm going to take them down in two different ways. So on these edge pieces, I'm bringing them in a little bit closer because I am going to create a window around my artwork. So tape it to my artboard, give it a good push all the way around my artwork. Not trying to push it too much onto the card because sometimes it does tear. A lovely lady has emailed me and told me which tape to use. I haven't had an opportunity to go and buy it yet, but I will give it a try, thank you very much. And then the second one, we're going to do it differently. So I'm just going to make sure I get rid of most of the tack in here because I have a funny feeling it's going to tear my craft card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape across the bottom, make sure it's straight. Put that in place. And turn my artwork around. Make sure it is straight. It's not looking very straight at the moment. It does look like somebody has been drinking, although I don't drink. So as you can see, I'm taping down there and I'm covering some of the image, and we're going to create an aperture so it looks like some of the image is within the colour and some of the image isn't. I hope this is making any sense at all. It will come to fruition soon. So I'm just covering some of my artwork. What's going to happen is it's going to hide some of the artwork from the ink. I'm not pressing on too hard. I hope it doesn't tear. We will see. And then one piece. Down this side. There we go. So if you have your Gossip glitter pens, that would work fabulously for this technique. If you have your ink in bottles, also amazing. Obviously, over the course of the videos, I do try and pick up different mediums because people might not have bought the Gossip range, people might have just bought this range, so I try and mix it up every time. So, but you can use alternatives. Okay, so I have my paintbrush, so let's get a small one for this one, a detailed brush. And I'm going to pop a bit of colour within these daisies, and this is where it will come to life, and what will happen is the embossing powder will act as a resist. So let's go ahead and pick some colours. So I have my fans here, and I'm going to use orange and yellow up here. I always cover my artwork across the corner. And let's pick up some of the lovely yellow. As is. So when I drop it in, you should be able to see it burst into the flower head. And what will happen is the petals of the daisy will act as a complete resist. And see, as I'm dropping in, it's sort of like the embossing powder is pushing it away, saying, I don't want colour on me, thank you. I'm not porous, so go away. Now we can see that there. So I'll pick up some of the orange. I'm just going to drop some of the orange into the centre. Now what will happen is, you can see there you're getting a bubble, and that's because there is a lot of embossing powder on there, but I still want it within the dots. I have drawn dots in there, so I am going to pop it on, and then I will just grab a tissue and take it off. Just drink it up. There we go. And the orange is falling in the spots, if you can see that. Yeah, it's got in. There we go. So you can see the orange is falling in the spots, but if you wanted to go into more detail, you could drop a little bit of the orange into the yellow. Because it's wet, it will carry it. Like so. Let's just add a bit more detail here. So let's go ahead and do these larger ones. These are probably easier to see. So I'll pick up some of the yellow, and I'm just going to drop it in where I can see the outline. Now I can see the outline probably clearer than what you can see on camera. I'm just dropping it into all the petals. Rub it over the middle as well, get some in those little holes. And then to add a little bit of dimension on there, we'll drop a little bit of orange in, not much, just to add some contrast. The great thing about this is if you drop it in and you don't like it, just remove it with a tissue, you know. So let's just do the lower one. So don't think you have to stay within the lines, just go over the complete thing and it will just naturally go where it needs to be. So working from the centre out, as dark, it would be darker in the centre. And then when you're entirely happy, that's absolutely fine. So I'm okay with that. I could add more detail if I wanted to, but I understand it's pretty boring for somebody who is just watching. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dry that off. And now what I'm going to do is, with the watercolour palette, I'm just going to pick a colour. Let's go for a blue. And let's create a wash within this aperture here. So I have my brush, it's quite wet. Pick up some of this blue, not a lot. I'm just going to drop it in and go around this flower. So your brush needs to be quite wet and you can drag the colour out. Take it right in and around the flower. Now you could use a bigger brush if you wanted to. I'm just using this one because it's the one I have to hand, but you could use whatever you've got. There's no right or wrong way. If you're wanting detail, obviously the smaller the brush the better. So as you can see there, because my artwork isn't dry, I'm getting awful green. So I'm just going to use my baby wipe and ensure I take it out, because I don't want green. It must be blue. I'm just going to go all the way around. Try not to touch my yellow. Make sure you dry it at home. So you could make this really, really dark if you wanted to, so it did look like you tried to frame the floral element of it. Get a bit more blue on there, I think. The watercolours, so they always dry back lighter, so if you pop it on like I've just then thought, oh, that is a little bit dark, it's okay, they will dry back lighter. Right, so I'm happy I've got a little bit of a wash behind there, get rid of all the harsh lines. Like so. So you can see the artwork's coming together there. So I'm just going to dry that off. Just make sure I've got no harsh lines in there. As you can see it drying, it's already drying back very, very, very much lighter. So now we need to get this to pop from the page. So with exactly the same colour and little to no water, I'm just going to outline the image. So I'm just going to drop a little bit of colour around the outline. Make sure your brush is relatively dry. And this is where it sort of like pops from the page. So I haven't got much water on my brush, but I've got quite a bit of colour. So it's coming to life there. If you have a harsh line, just add water and just take it away. Just use a baby wipe here just to soften that edge there. I didn't like the harsh line on that. So let's just go around this one. So this creates the instant drop shadow. So if you're not the most confident, that's okay too. All you need to do is go in with a way, way, way light colour and build on it. Think, right, I'll just do a little bit more this time, let it dry, or I'll just do a little bit more, it could be darker. So that's sometimes a great way to start as well if you're not the most confident with your colours. So I can't really see the white lines anymore, so I am just literally improvising on this one, but the results are honestly really, really good. So now I just want to create a bit more atmosphere in the back of here. So with a relatively dry, I'm just going to pick up some of the colour, and I'll show you exactly what I mean on a piece of card before I go ahead and do it. So here is a piece of card and my brush is on its side, and can you see how you get, when you drag on its side, you get like instant lines? That is what I'm going to do down the side, so it looks like a little bit of wood grain. So I'm going to wet my brush, just going to pick up some of the colour, not a lot, and I'll test it on there first, and then what I'll do is I'll take my brush so I get lines, a bit more on there. So my brush is pretty much dry, but it looks like it's giving me a grain on that. Can you see? It looks like I've scraped some, sanded it back, should we say? So basically you could say you are cleaning your brush on your artwork. To get some texture. My brush is so dry, but I am just making sure I haven't got big blobs of blue on there. We have like a wood grain coming on there, if you've noticed, which I think is pretty cool. So I'm going to leave that to dry, and let's move on to our second piece, okay? So as you can see, our artwork is half in and half out of the page. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to just do a shadow, but we're going to use one colour. So I think because we're on brown, I think red is a great way to start, red and brown, both from the same colour family. So I'm just going to pick up some of the red from the bottom of this palette here, and, well, it's pink really, but it will come across completely different on your artwork. So do try, when you pop it on, look at this here, can you see? So I'm just gonna, and this is normal everyday cardstock. So what will happen with this is you'll find it's a little bit harder to move around, it'll look blocky, it'll probably not look pleasant, and that's fine. You've got to let it dry. You're looking at it as a wet entity. So let's just get some colour on here first. So I'm just going to go right up to the image, around. Go right up to my lines. And what will happen is it will dry back once the wetness is gone, and you'll have a faint wash of pink in the back. It's really cool. So just see if obviously the more colour you put on there, the more pink you'll get when it dries back. But you can already see it's drying back already, and I'm just getting left with a hue of pink in the background. Get some colour on there. Don't be scared to get some on. Just turn this round and fill this area. Same colour. So I'm just filling all the gaps within the image. Making sure it's all covered. So you can see there already. I'll just put the heat gun on this and show you what I mean. So you can see it's patched there. Watch when you put your heat gun on. See the patch disappearing, and you're ending up with this like wash. And you won't see it until I take my tape off. see you've got like a wash there. It's really, really cool. So if you wanted to build on that and maybe put a purple on top, so you've got like a wood purple, maybe put some pencil lines in it so it looks like wood grain, you can also do that as well. Don't be scared to experiment. Now I've dried that back and there is hardly no colour on there at all. There's hardly no colour at all on there. So you could colour within here. I'm going to leave that as is. It looks like it's had a bit of a mask on there. What I am going to do, right, let's just see if I can remove this tape without ruining everything. So when you come to remove your tape, please do be careful. Let's get a tidy station. So we'll do the daisy first if it allows. So I'll just peel it back very, very carefully. See how you've got like that there? Instant texture on that one. Just going to take my time with this one because it is an on craft card. I don't want it to tear it if possible. So let's just get this one brought to life. So white gel pen, let's frame this artwork. So I've got my guide there, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the corner and I'm just going to do a wonky stitch, sorry, not a wonky stitch, a wonky line all the way to the point there. Can we see that? Then I'm going to do the same all the way to the bottom of this point, all the way to the bottom of this point. And then I'm just going to fill in the gaps here. So I've created an instant frame there, but I want to take it to the next level. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one, but cross them. Like so. Fill in the gaps. And then what I like to do is these gaps here in the centre, pen allowing, I like to fill in with the white gel pen, go all the way around. And fill in those gaps. So this could be a one-dimensional card, two-dimensional, three-dimensional, whatever you want to do. But just popping a wash, just a random wash and letting it do its course by drying, either with a heat tool or just air drying, the effects you get, it looks like you've really gone to town with your backgrounds, really tried to, you know, make them look arty. And then what you could do also is just add some little dots detail, just random. I was working threes, so mine end up always as threes. Could do more than three if you wanted to follow the line completely, so on and so forth. I think you get the idea. Just enjoy it. So let's get this let's get the stamped image on here, and I wanted to show you the lovely sentiment which comes within this collection and the way that I made the sentiment fit and coordinate with this beautiful stamp. So I'll just remove that one. Now you could also do the sentiment in white embossing if you want to, but I am going to do it in black because I think it'll pop. So it just fits beautifully within the arch of the image. So I'm just going to set that aside before I mount it onto a card. So with this one, I haven't put my sentiment on this one. I'll just hold my artwork in place. So I just grab the stamp. So this is one of the stamp sets from the large poppy. Just pop this one up the side. So this does look like a really like arty card. It doesn't even look like you've touched a stamp. It just looks like you've picked up your watercolour brush and you've just had a complete play. And this one says, always follow your dreams. Just set that aside. So I have So I'll just get these two mounted on a card. I hope you've enjoyed today's techniques, something a little bit different to what probably you would normally do maybe. But we have lots and lots of techniques in all of our videos, so I encourage everybody just to go back and revisit some of our older ones, because I'm sure there is something that you will enjoy. So I have a nasty mark there, and I just want to show you, I have an eraser, and this will erase once it's dry. Can we see there? There we go, all gone. So this is just an everyday eraser. So I'll set that aside, and then let's get this one onto the card. So don't forget to comment, let me know which card you've enjoyed the most. Which one will you try? Will you try them both? What will you try them with? I love to see people's makes, as you all know. And if you're not a fan on our Eureka fan page, you need to get over there. There is lots of inspiration on the Eureka fan page, which is also associated with Stamps by Me. So there we have two absolutely fabulous cards, one technique, should we say. It's just a case of experimenting and see where it takes you. Don't forget to click the subscribe button, and whatever you're doing this evening, stay safe, stay cozy, and I'll see you all on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Take care, everybody. Bye.